As part of Communities in Focus, that series, CBC's Jim Agapito has been spending time at RRC Polytech, and he spoke to some international students there about the immigration changes and what their thoughts are. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Marcy.
So what have you been hearing from the students?
Well, the federal government's new immigration changes are causing international students to panic and be uncertain. 38-year-old Sunny's son moved from Beijing to Winnipeg 3 months ago, and she's nervous about what her future looks like.
I read the news, the Trudeau government, he declared that it will take 1.5 million people, over 3 years. But when I come here, the October, it changes. And we feel frustrated because when I consult with my immigration agent, I call the IRCC, and they cannot give me the clear, instruction. So I don't know what I should do. Make me transfer my program to another program I don't like. But I have to because maybe it's on the long-term shortage list. I can get the work permit after graduation. Makes most people feel not good.
And because the new rules aren't clear, it's creating more panic for international students.
Sunny, who we heard from there, what is Sunny studying now?
Well, she's in pharmaceutical and food manufacturing, and her course is 2 years in length. She was originally studying dental assisting, but switched because that program was only 1 year long. And she really loved that program, Marcy, but she really was thinking about her family's future.
What do you mean by that? How so?
Well, Sunny says this new field will give her a better chance of getting a job in Canada, which means that it'll be a better life for her son who could potentially come here. But that story I'm hearing is also what I'm hearing from other international students.
Let's elaborate on that. Who else did you meet?
Well, I met Enrique Serrata, and he has a similar story. He came to Canada from Venezuela with his family last year. He's studying business administration and majoring in logistics and supply chain at RRC.
It has changed a lot. My wife, she's working right now. For the moment, you work 6 months and then you can apply as, and it was for federal workers, but that changed right now. So that's not an option anymore. Right now, we're thinking, okay, you can apply after you get graduated, and if you find a job in a related area, we're hoping that. If not, we're starting to think about other options that were never an option, like going to the US. To apply for the U.S. because I know my degree here will be, valid in the U.S. as well.
Now, in the past, Marcy, spouses of international students were allowed to work if their partner was in school full-time. Ottawa, though, has put a new limit on those permits.
Let's remind people of some of these changes, Jim.
Well, this year, the federal government issued 485,000 international study permits, but that number will be reduced to 437,000 in 2025 and 2026, which is 10% less. The federal immigration minister, Mark Miller, said these changes yield approximately 300,000 fewer study permits over the next 3 years.
And what has RRC, Red River College, Polytech, been hearing about all this from students?
Well, Marcy, I spoke to RRC Polytech Students Association President Angela Grace Flores. Now, she's also an international student and understands how the student feels. The new rules have students worrying that, well, their study permits might be taken away, but she wanted to remind them that's not the case.
Personally, I've been hearing a lot of fear of, again, getting their study permit taken away. From my understanding, for all current students, they would not be affected by the recent changes. Those new policy or amendment from IRCC would only take effect starting November 1st moving forward for only the new study permit applicants. So again, just to give everyone that sense of safety.
But despite that reassurance, Angela says one issue really worries international students.
One confusion that we still haven't had answers on would be students applying for study permit extension. Because most of the changes that they published recently, none of those would account for study permit extension applicants. Those that are here already, that needs extension for their studies for whatever particular reason they may have. We keep on trying to reach the provincial and the federal level on. From what I heard, it's getting more difficult for them to picture themselves applying for postgraduate work permit because initially they have this vision of themselves just applying for study permit, getting approved, graduating, and then securing a postgraduate work permit. But with all the changes and the additional requirements for them, it's getting a bit heavier for them, to say the least.
Well, Mark Miller, when he was in Winnipeg, didn't share much with us here at InfoRad about this. I know you reached out. What does the federal government say about all of these immigration changes?
Yeah, Marcy, they said these changes are necessary to help them address the pressures of housing, healthcare, and other services. By introducing a cap on international student study permits and updating the graduate work program permit program, it better aligns Canada's goals with immigration and labor market needs. Now, they said also by limiting the work permit eligibility, Canada can manage the number of international students in a sustainable manner. But the feds also wanted to remind international students that studying at a Canadian institution provides them a temporary status in Canada, not a permanent one.
I'm just curious, Jim, are any students that you spoke with second-guessing their decision to study here, given everything you've brought us this morning?
Well, remember Sunny, who we heard at the beginning of the story? She worries that these changes will affect her ability to become a permanent resident in Canada, which is ultimately her reason for coming here. And most of all, Marcy, she worries about the changing attitudes Canadians have towards immigrants. Here's what she had to say.
It makes me desperate because I cannot fall asleep even, It changed my life and changing my plan. So if I know the government do things like this, I would not come.
All of this is really interesting also in the context of yesterday's story that we had, which was this, they looked across Canada, one specific survey and study, and they were finding that 1 in 5 immigrants that come to the country are leaving the country. And there were reasons for that. And top of the list was housing. And then healthcare was there as well. So thank you very much, Jim, for bringing in the story of the students.
You're welcome, Marcy.
That's CBC's Jim Agapito reporting from what we are hearing at our Communities in Focus at Red River College Polytech in Winnipeg.